final speaker, so Lindsay from thnx. And of course, here's a potential. Yes, she'd already spotted it. We make links in this industry. And I think we're changing our slides over. Right, so Lindsay, to bring her perspective to everything that we're doing, for thinking outside our industry in which we're immersed. Thank you very much, Sue.
What a hard act to follow. Well done. It's such a privilege to be here. I had the opportunity to spend some time listening to the conversations this morning, and someone made the comment about how special and unique this collaboration is, as you have producers and marketers and industry partners sitting in one room with one shared vision, and I congratulate and acknowledge you for that. And looking forward to the future generations is pretty exciting as well. If you read my bio, you've seen that I have a fairly checkered career that's taken me from the family farm in Southland through New Zealand Agri-business, the GM of CRT in Southland for a number of years, and won the New Zealand Young Executive of the Year. You're probably looking at me and going, really? How could that be? Just hold that thought as you look at me now. It wasn't that long ago, or at least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, particularly at this stage of the day. What I really want to do is just share a little with you in terms of some of the things that I notice. I now own a research company, classic New Zealand number 8 wire. If you want to know something, you create the company that can find out why people think and behave the way they do within organisations and also customers, and get their feedback and insights. I'm going to share a little bit from the perspective of business and the market and some of the things I notice. I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership, and if time allows, I'm going to also leave you with a little bit of a challenge. We're going to talk a little bit about you and your role in the future as well. I think the question that I have been asked the most in the last 15 years is, what does it take to be successful? And that can be in life, that can be in leadership, or it can be in business. And I guess from that perspective, it was pretty confronting for me, because when I led CRT in Southland, we doubled the revenues of that company. We took it from 32 to 80 million in less than 5 years. And I'll be really honest with you, I did a lot of it really intuitively. I worked on the supply side, I'd worked for one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, and I'd run the family farm after my father died. So when it came to winning that award and people saying, why were you successful? I guess I really wasn't sure what the absolute answer to that was. I spent the last 10 years wanting to put a little bit of rigour around that thinking. I've worked with some of the smartest people in the world in terms of leadership and business. People like Tom Peters, considered by many to be one of the most influential business thinkers of all time. I went looking for complexity, and I'll be really honest with you, I found simplicity, and it was a breath of fresh air. So when someone says to me, what does it take to be successful? I stand firm in the belief that I've had for many years, that it is about people, it's about passion, and it's about the power of a dream. It's about people because life and business is a contact sport. It's about our ability, I know there are days when we wish it wasn't, but it's about our ability to empower, to engage, to inspire, to encourage. It's about our ability to collect the right people around us in order to have that dream team that allows us to turn that vision, that sense of possibility, into a reality. It is about passion, and I love the concept of passion to profit. That's an extraordinary project, and again, I acknowledge you for that collective commitment to that. That is quite unusual. It is about passion, because passion is sometimes the only fuel you have. When someone says you can't because it's never been done this way in this industry before. Now, I get excited when someone says that to me, because there's a really good chance that I'm actually onto something. And there is also the very real possibility that they think I am, and they're trying to derail me in the process. It's the passion that gives you the push through when someone says you can't because it's not in the budget. Having worked in the cooperative environment, I heard that a lot. But it's that passion that gives you the push through to put the rigour in your thinking, to put the rigour in your business case if that's what's required. But it starts with the power of a dream, that sense of how things can be in the future. We do a lot of our work in corporate organisations, and people often say to me, Sue, really, a dream? We're big kids now, we have a strategic vision. And I'm like, isn't it interesting that Martin Luther King said, I have a dream? He didn't say, I have a strategic plan. The gift that Martin Luther King had was to distill that sense of possibility, to tell a story about how things could be, that engaged the people he needed to turn that dream into a reality. His was a dream that changed the history of a nation, and I would venture to say changed the history of the world. Such is the power of our dreams to change the history of our world, personally, but also the world of this industry and how you're co-creating that into the future. Now I'm going to say something now, and you may all stop breathing as I say this, because bankers and accountants particularly do. Over the last 10 to 15 years, I think we've placed an unhealthy focus on bottom line. Suck all the air out of the room, huh? And trust me, when you like shoes as much as I do, you've got to make a profit in your business. But the reality is that it's an outcome, isn't it? Where there is passion, there is creativity, there is innovation, then there is a commitment to excellence and high performance, and profitability will follow. It is an outcome. I work with too many organisations that set a standard, set a target, they get to it, maybe just past it, pat themselves on the back, celebrate very appropriately. But I talk to the people within the business or to their customers in the marketplace who are saying if they just did this, we'd buy more. We wouldn't have to have a one-night stand with the brand down the road because they didn't provide me with the alternative that I was looking for. So it actually becomes a constraint. So what are some of the things that we notice? Oh, here we go. Inspiration everywhere. One of the things that I absolutely know for certain is that you've got to get outside the industries that you work in, because otherwise we have a tendency to amplify sameness. Absolutely keep a watching brief, not saying that you don't do that at all, there's lots of learning, but get outside. One of the people that inspired me the most when I was at CRT was the CEO of Harlequin Books. Harlequin Books are the Mills and Boon people. Not very similar to selling red band gumboots and number 8 wire in Invercargill. But the reality was that a lot of what she said about the brand sitting in the hands of my people every single day was what actually transformed that business from the inside out. Here's one of the people that I have a watching brief on, Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks. Why would I watch Starbucks? Because it's clearly not about the coffee, some people say to me. Starbucks is interesting. Starbucks in the US spends 1% of revenues on advertising and promotion. Like competitors, spend 10%. Why is that? Because they believe that the brand sits in the hands of their people every single day. The quality of the product that they produce in their stores, the experience that's created across a coffee machine. It is everyone's business all of the time. I was fascinated when Howard Schultz was interviewed when they were first named in the Fortune 500. He said two things which were quite intriguing. He said, you know, we didn't set out to be in the Fortune 500, but from day one we dreamed, and we dreamed big. If you're familiar with Jim Collins' work, Good to Great, big, hairy, audacious goals. You've got to put it out there and go after it together. And he secondly said, I wanted to create a company that I would be proud to have my father work for. One that had a great culture, that looked after its people, that looked after its customers in turn, because he felt that's where the brand was. Now, just a bit of a warning. Starbucks have been very successful, but they had a bit of a blip on their radar. Early 2000s, Schultz stepped out, became chairman of the board, stepped aside as CEO. They went on a growth trajectory around the world. They got lost in the momentum and they actually forgot who they were. Around 2008, he put his hand up, if you want a good business read and you don't have to love coffee, read his book Onward. Because he talks very personally about having to accept responsibility for what was going on in that organisation, to go back into the business and say, what is it that I need to do to put this right? You know, that's what, as leaders, if things aren't going right, where's the first place to look? It's in the mirror, and to take responsibility. What did Gandhi say? Be the change. Sometimes you've got to be the change that you want to see, or be prepared to lead it. He went back into that business. Long and the short of it, They rebuilt the business from the inside out. They aligned everyone to a one-page plan. Every single person in that business. How did they do that? They closed the whole organisation down across the US. Every single store for an afternoon. They told Wall Street, but the whole purpose was to ensure that every single person at every level of that organisation understood how critical, mission critical their role was. That's what this industry needs to do as well. So, what else have I got? Ooh, no, I've done something I shouldn't have. Oh, no, here we go. Don't panic. Not what the future. I just created that today. I thought that was quite clever. But the reality is that we are more overwhelmed than ever. Can I just say to you, if I'm summarising this, that there are consumers all over the world, and I am one of them, who is saying, make it simple for me. It is a time of chaos and complexity. I do a lot of research in the space of the role of women in business, in leadership, and in the economy. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the reality is that that household shopper, she's spending 115 plus hours a week engaged in one of her roles. She wants you, the collective of you, to make it simple for her to buy your product or to understand what it is that makes the health benefits so, so unique. Make it simple. Keep it simple. Oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to say to you that women are different. This is not news, is it? To anyone in the room. Growing that little business in Southland, one of the 3 core strategies that grew it was marketing to the female brain. That was not conventional wisdom 15 years ago, and sadly is not conventional wisdom today. We acknowledge that they were business partners. They were a critical part of the business, and in fact were often the CFO, not only of the household, but the business CFO as well. They were writing the cheques. And it's kind of interesting for me, I guess this came back on my radar a few years ago when Boston Consulting did some work globally that looked at the female economy, largest, fastest growing economy in the world. What they found was that women are making 64% of the purchasing decisions made around the world every day. The first time I introduced a slide with that number on it, I was in Wellington. There was a guy in the front row who said to me, "You're wrong, Sue." I thought, this is going to be good. Normally done my research. He said, "I would spend more if my wife would let me." It's kind of the point, really, isn't it? We have a research project ongoing called The Feminine Perspective. What we found in New Zealand is that women are making 80% of the purchasing decisions across those broad consumer categories. Some categories are higher, travel sits at 93%, gift purchasing sits at 97%. That's why you follow the list or give you your credit card, guys. That's the way to do it. Listen. Alrighty, what are some of the other things that we're thinking about? It's all about purpose. There's been some fabulous conversation, and I'm just utterly inspired about the marketing strategies that I was hearing about this morning. But I just want to give you a couple of clues of some of the things that keep me challenged. Consider this. This comes from Edelman's. And what do they find? That 87% of consumers believe business should place at least equal emphasis on social interest as business interest, and purpose has increased as a purchase trigger by 26% since 2008. So you've got a great story to tell, and the commitment that you're making to this country, to this industry, and to the world. Tell that story. 85% are prepared to change brand or consumption behaviour to make the world a better place. Nielsen's found that as Kiwis, 25% of us are prepared to pay a premium on that basis as well. So being in that premium space with a great story is a very, very strong and differentiated place to be. So, I'll sum it up by saying to you, with this piece, that soft is hard. Scary concept, huh? But the reality is that's what it's about. It's about values, it's about experiences, it's about great stories, and you have a great story to tell. It's about building relationships. I will confess to you that I have a relationship, an ongoing relationship with Jamie Oliver via an app on my iPad. And I pay for it on an ongoing basis because if he wants to talk to me with something new, I have to pay. And I do, willingly, because I value it. Can I also just say to you, though, that one of the things that we're noticing in the research that we do for clients is that often the value proposition that an organisation has is actually out of alignment with what it is that their customers are wanting. Because you see, competitive advantage and value propositions have a short life these days. Today's best, it's not going to be enough to meet the needs of tomorrow's marketplace. So we have to be constantly on the move. So it's about one team and one dream. You build it from the inside out. That's why you're here for this 2 days, to create that alignment, because that's what it's about. It's like that elite sports team, whether it's the Black Caps or the All Blacks. You know when they're on song. They have that shared vision and everyone is playing their part. It won't go smoothly all the time. It's about resilience. It's about that ability to bounce back when stuff goes wrong. Everybody's contribution in this is equal. Everyone must play their part. And as Anna said, when the going gets tough, talk to each other, but do so from a place of respect. It's everyone's business all of the time, and your culture, it's like an immune system. That's your competitive advantage. Keep it strong through that alignment and that focus on the future, and you can handle anything. The environment, the economy, the global markets throws your way. This holistic approach, some people like numbers. There you go. Here's 18 firms of endearment. They're organisations like Starbucks, Amazon, IKEA, Whole Foods in the US. Have a look at their website. But those 18 organisations who take this very holistic approach, people, planet, profit, people being within the business and outside, do extremely well. There's the Standard & Poor's 500 over a 10-year period, 4.12% annualised average return. And then you've got those firms of endearment at 13.1. Jim Collins got a great company, sat at 5.2 for the same period of time. Kind of says it all really, doesn't it? So, I'm going to talk very quickly and very briefly because I'm rapidly running out of time. I'm on a warpath about leadership. You know, we talk in this country so much about productivity and efficiency, and it's a very, very valid conversation, but I think there's a conversation that we need to have before that, which is frankly at a crisis point from my perspective. A lot of people talk to me about the leadership challenge. Can I just say to you that it's a leadership crisis? You may have one of those. I stole that from the ODT, and then I discovered they stole it from someone else, so I don't feel so bad these days. There you go. I worked with the Gen Y project in the US. We replicated their research here in New Zealand. We found that Gen Y are the same all over the world. Why did Gen Y leave? Here's just a bit of a heads up for you from a leadership point of view. The number one reason they leave is because they perceive weak leadership. What are they looking for? There's the list. Honesty, the ability to inspire, integrity, competence, humility, fairness, respect, vision, care and concern for their people, and the ability to truly listen. None of it's rocket science, is it? And in fact, in many respects, that kind of covers any engagement framework that might be provided. So if it's like that, we must be doing pretty well, huh? I'm interested, no, I'm mortified actually, when I see some of the engagement data come out from the likes of Gallup. Now, to be engaged, that's when someone's fully committed. They're showing up, they're committing themselves fully, sharing ideas, energy, doing the whole thing to support you and your business. Consider this. Level of employee engagement in New Zealand, 2013, that's their latest numbers, 23%. That's hardly 1 in 5 people, 1 in 4 people, gosh, my maths is bad, 1 in 4 days. That's pretty scary stuff. But guess where it might start? Because this is what they suggested was the level of leadership engagement, 20%. What did I say about looking in the mirror? It's pretty scary, isn't it? I think in many respects we've made leadership complicated. So to simplify it, here's what's a summary of what the projects that we've run within organisations and what employees are saying are the real issues. Poor communication. I don't understand this. I have no real sense of purpose in terms of what this organisation is doing. How do I know that it's work worth doing? I don't even understand my part in it. Remote and distant leaders, nice people, but I never see them. Little or no recognition, no responsibility or opportunity to contribute my ideas. And it's not because we're bad leaders, it's just because we're busy. We need to stop and take our people with us. Stop and make sure that they understand to the same extent that you do. I think we've made leadership complicated, as I said. Tom Peters, when I said to him, Tom, how would you describe leadership in today's world? He took a deep breath, and I thought, get your pen out, Sue, because he's going to give you about 10 points. He said to me, Sue, leadership today is to measurably help others to succeed. That kind of sums it up too. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Don't make it complicated. It's not about lists of attributes, and you don't need an MBA or a title or a corner office. Measurably help others to succeed. I'm going to give you some clues very quickly. You've got two things as a leader: the life that you live and the stories that you tell. Now, you've probably made a decision about those two blokes as soon as I put that slide up. I don't use New Zealand examples because I will end up with someone's mother, brother, sister. You know how it goes. The reality is that you have a personal brand. Someone will make a decision about you according to some of the work that Tom's team have done within 7 seconds. And it's true, isn't it? You make a decision about how you perceive someone in a very short space of time. If you're not getting the results that you're looking for, personally or business-wise, think about how you're engaging with people. Think about how you show up. Let's face it, if I stood here 30 minutes ago and said I'm really excited, I mean, really, I would have left before you did. Think about how you show up. Ask a few people for feedback. Give me 3 or 4 words or phrases as to how you would describe me and my approach. Interesting. So, I'm going to scoot through here. Sometimes you've got to change the way you see things. Here's a quick one. Think about this. What do you see when you look at that? You've got 2 options. Happiness is now here, or happiness is nowhere. It's not an IQ test. What I'm telling you is that sometimes you've got to take a second look. Think about the attitude that you're bringing to the table, even the big challenges. You know, some of the greatest success stories on the planet, business-wise, leadership-wise, have come out of adversity. Think about the attitude and the approach that you bring to the table. And just to leave you with this thought, that for me it comes down to the distinction of being interested or committed. Interested is about doing what's easy. Committed is doing whatever it takes for as long as it takes to get the result. Take James Dyson, one of the richest individuals on the planet, the vacuum cleaner guy. 5,127 prototypes. That's commitment. And if you haven't watched the movie In Pursuit of Happiness, watch it. Will Smith played the part of Chris Green, a guy who had a relentless commitment to creating a better future for his son and overcame extraordinary adversity in the process. Sometimes it's a real challenge, but together you will make a difference.
Thank you very much, Sue. So immediately I say, what are your questions? And then we'll move into our panel discussion. Specific questions for Sue?
Yep.
Yes, Andy McFarlane.
So you've spent some time leading a large business, corporate. Now you're effectively working for yourself, motivating people. Completely different culture. What are the key differences you've found waking up every day with different clients compared to one big one?
I think the fundamentals are the same. For me, it's those personal values that are the drivers. I mean, I've got a technology-based startup. Honestly, if I'd known what I know now 3.5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have done it. But it is that vision for the future that I spoke about, that sense of how we can make a difference. That's actually what drives me. My personal purpose to inspire greatness in the world, one person, one organisation at a time. So having that degree of clarity on the days when I don't want to get up, that's what makes me get up, because I know that tomorrow is probably going to be a better day, and it's all about how I choose to see it. But for me also, one of the critical things I've actually learned, more so now than ever, the importance of having the right people around you. Making good choices, rigorous choices, and also, if it's not the right choice, deal with it and move on.
Thanks. Good.
Lovely. I wonder, Sue, can we sit up here and Alana and Anna come up as well? And